Hey folks, Jonas back at you today. We've got something a little different, something a little normal. We've done before, I think. But today, as you see, I got my chainsaw on my bench. Um, hasn't been run since last year in the last video that you saw. I don't cut a lot of wood, but when I do, I like to do it once a year, once or twice a year. The gentleman that we take care of over in Harold needs some firewood, and part of the wife's family had a couple of big trees fall in one of their fields. So the county came through and pulled the trees out of the creek for them, and they're laying up on the side of the bank. And they said I could come cut them up and split them up and give them to my gentleman over in Harold. So we got the saw out. We're gonna give it a once over since it hasn't been running a year. So we'll get the bar off and out of the way, and I'll show you some of the things I like to do to make sure I'm ready for the spring, ready for my first cut. As you can see there's some dust on her. Again, she ain't been running since last year. Now, when I put it away, I did sharpen the saw, or sharpen the chain. So that's not something we're going to have to worry about doing this year. So we'll get this tore apart, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Grab my parts thing. So we'll go over this, and I'll take you along. Got to take the brake off, so when you take this side panel off, you can get it put back together. Oh my goodness, that's filthy. I'm upset with myself. Usually I don't put it away that dirty. But I'll hang you over here out of the way for now. We'll get you cleaned up and gone over. I'm not happy with that. But I got no one to blame but myself for this. But we'll take care of that in a second. Next thing we're going to do is pull the air filter cover off. This way we can, that needs washed in there too. This way we can check our air filter. It's a little plugged up, but it's not too bad. But again, we're going to get that cleaned out. We'll get the whole back of this saw cleaned out. Might as well check them both. Loosen that one for now. Because this gas has sat for a year, I don't know whether it's full or not, but since it's sat for a year, we'll just leave it in. We're going to dump out all this old gas. That gas doesn't look the greatest. No, I got bits and pieces in that gas, and it's a little colored, and it doesn't look like there's any water in it. So let's get it. We'll get the air compressor out. Blow that out. Make sure we get all the crusty critters out of there. Fuel filter looks good. Fuel looked nasty though, so let's go about getting this cleaned up a little bit. I usually use some carb cleaner, but I think I'm out of carb cleaner right now. So we'll go this route for now. Just a little WD-40. We're going to spray it on here. Let it sit for a couple minutes. I'm going to have to go get me a new can of carb cleaner. I don't like using WD-40 for this. But again, we're basically just wiping the saw off. When they're wiped off and they're clean, they're a little bit more efficient. I watch a bunch of two-stroke guys because I'm doing a little bit of two-stroke repair nowadays. But I watch those guys and they clean them up by hitting them with the pressure washer and things like that. Even these small engines like this and small equipment. And I'm going to tell you, it does a good job on it. You got to make sure you keep the water out of the carburetor. But everything else, when you go to pressure wash it, you don't need to worry about getting it off too much. I want to make sure my oil inlet's clean. Put my glasses on so I can see a little bit better. You want to make sure your oil inlet or your oiler for your blade is nice and cleaned out. You want to make sure you're getting oil to the blade where it's supposed to be. This is it right here. And I had something in it. So I guess it's a good thing I checked that. My tensioner, my chain tensioner looks good. Everything looks good under here. There's that. The body's clean, the motor's clean. I've cleaned out the fuel tank, so it's ready. Again, this is a new season, so I want to make sure everything's as good as it can be and it's ready to go. So when I get on site to start cutting this tree up into these trees, it's not going to be too much of a problem and it's not going to fight me. At one time in life, I worked in West Virginia where I was living off grid. I worked over there as a timber cutter. So it's one of the things I kind of learned. Take care of your equipment before you get on site. That way you don't have to worry about it when you get on site. And the guys that taught me the ropes, they were pretty good guys. They've been doing it for a couple years more than me. So they took me under their wings and showed me what to do and how to do it. And we went from there. And again, I learned pretty good from those guys. This saw is going on probably 4 years old. I learned in West Virginia how to sharpen my saw. So that was one of them things. If you don't know how to sharpen your saw and you got to take them to somebody, that can be a little bit of an expense. It's not needed by, honestly, if you're a homeowner and you only do it 2 or 3 times a year. You don't cut firewood for yourself, things like that. Having a saw about like this is about all most people need. And this saw is a steel. Let me see here. Where is it? Over here. This is the MS 180. I think the smallest homeowner saw is the MS 170. I've used that. And it's a decent saw for a homeowner that only needs to cut once or twice a year, keep the limbs and the branches cleaned up around their place. It's a pretty good saw. But I'll tell you, with the technology of the battery operated ones and all of that, it's tough to beat them at the cost for the amount of times that people use them. So I don't have a problem with either way. Um, when I was cutting in West Virginia, I was cutting with a big MS 660 or a 460, which are the big professional saws. I did used to cut with them. So, I mean, it's all in what you need. With that, I was cutting probably 4 or 5 tanks of gas through a day, um, boatload of bar oil a day, but we were cutting 8 to 10 hour days. And you weren't, most of the time, you weren't walking a half mile between cuts. You were, once you were there where you wanted to cut, you were cutting trees all day. We'd fill 4 or 5 truckloads a day, get them out the door, get them to the grader, the timber grader, then they'd get shipped off to the sawmills where they needed to go. So now that we're getting ready to go back together with this, I'd like to start with a clean slate here. Don't think I'm going to replace my air filter this time around, just because, honestly, it's in decent shape. Blow a little air through it, and we'll be good for this year, or at least this round of cuts. Okay. Now, we'll go get some gas. Let me check my oil, see if I need to bring some of that in. I got a half tank of oil, so that'll get me through at least getting her started. It does require mix oil, and I run the steel mix. In small equipment, you want to run your better mix oils. You don't want to go to a gas station or someplace like that and get your gas. Get yourself some good gas, or some good oil. You want to try to get non-ethanol gas, not premium. You want to try to find non-ethanol. Non-ethanol is kind of tough to find and come by. So there's my oil, or my gas. Steel, we put it all the way down for the choke. Move it up one, the half choke. That's what you want. You want it to start pretty quick for you. So let's get the bar and chain and get it put back on, or get it ready to go back on. Something I like to do before I put my bar back on for the first time each year. Get me a rag here real quick. I'm going to wipe the oil and grease and sawdust, all that. We're going to wipe that off the bar. Give the bar a couple squirts of fresh grease. Nice. Check to make sure the sides of your bar aren't burred out. That's not too bad. Now I'll get one of the smaller screwdrivers I've got. I run it down through the chain channel, cleaning out any debris. Wow, that's a lot of debris in there. Now that will not allow your bar to oil properly, which will cause it to overheat. Then you get all kinds of problems. So make sure you do this every now and then, especially as a homeowner. Again, most homeowners won't do this, don't know to do this. So I don't know if you can see all that gunk coming out of there or not. But that's a lot. And I don't want that in my bar. The holes right here in the bar are where your oil comes out of these holes. So you want to make sure that's good and clean. I'm sorry about this, folks. It's kind of sweaty and hot out here. So let's get, I think I've got a smaller screwdriver here. There we go. Again, you want to make sure these chains, the chain rail is nice and clean of any debris. So your so the oil can flow properly. I'm sorry. I'm trying to work and talk at the same time. Not necessarily the easiest thing to do sometimes. Okay, that's good and clean. When you're putting a chain on, the tooth on the chain basically is pointy. The tooth on the chain has a point. You want that point on the top of the bar. You want this point pointing forward. If you put it on in any other direction, there's only one other direction, and that's wrong, because that will not allow the sharp side of that tooth to do what it needs to do. Now the last time I did a chainsaw video for you, all I was doing was sharpening it and making a cut with it. I didn't go into how to clean it and get it ready for the year. If my chainsaw sits more than 6 to 8 months, I dump the gas out and start over. Basically because I don't want that old gas floating around, getting up in my carburetor, gumming it up, and stuff like that. So I like to change mine quite regularly. And again, I think I do it more than most people. Um, so again, that's one of them things. That's on you. But with that, make sure you use good mixing oil. You try to get ethanol-free gas. And if you do those two things, you shouldn't have too many problems with your saw. Yeah, it might be. I got plenty of tooth left, but it looks like I might be almost out of adjustment. There we go. We got it that time. Make sure your chain is good and tight. I was taught by the guys back home, or back in West Virginia, that when you pull your chain down at the bottom, you want to be able to put a dime between the chain and the bar. And that's about where I'm at right now. So we're good to go. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start my saw, and I'm going to hold my bar right above my table here. I want to make sure it's going to put a line of oil, make sure it's oiling properly. And running properly. Oops. I hit my towel. But you can clearly see there's a line of oil from where it was running off the bar. All I did was catch my towel. That's good. So I'll get that cleaned up, get it put away, top the oil off, and I'll be ready to go cut some trees up this week. I'm going to take you along for that because we're also going to do some splitting with a couple wood mauls. I've got 2 different mauls here, and I'll get this stuff cleaned up, and I'll give you a quick little lesson on the mauls before I clean them up, because you see what I do with the handles when I did getting my scythe ready. So give me a minute, let me get this stuff put away. I'll be right back. Hey guys, I got the chainsaw finished up, got everything put away there. Now we talk about the 2 split mauls that I have sitting in front of me. From where you're sitting, they both look similar. They are both 8-pounders. This one, if you notice, this one, the back of it's all curled over, and this one is not. This maul here, if you look, has a round eye here and the wedge, and this handle is a little bit longer. Talk about that in a second. This maul, 8-pounder, shorter handle, but this one has a standard axe eye. Now, what makes these 2 mauls different is the way you use them. With the axe eye maul, you can pick it up, pull over your head, swing, and bust the wood. Works great. For hardwoods and stuff like that, and straight grain wood, this works real nice. I've been using one of these for almost 20 years now. Never had a problem with one of these. Now this round eye, this one's a little different. Let me grab something over here real quick. The thing with the round eye, these aren't designed to be swung. Okay? You're not supposed to pick this one up and swing it. What this one's designed for, you give it a slight drive into the wood, then you take a sledgehammer. This is just a little one for demonstration. And you drive the maul into the wood to split it. I have seen people, over the years, pick these up and swing these just like an axe eye. The only problem with that is there's not as much material on the front, on the face, and on the back of your handle. So these tend to split out right here and split down the grain unless you've got very good or vertical grain, or horizontal grain, vertical grain. Unless you've got your grain running properly, these tend to split out very quickly. Now this handle, this isn't one I went in and bought someplace. This is one that I went to a sawmill and got me a nice big piece of hickory so I could try to get my grain. It's too dirty, you can't tell the grain. So I could get my grain running the way I wanted it to run. I've got another axe handle floating around here someplace that I did the same thing with. One of these days I'll dig it out and show you. But these are the two mauls that I'm going to be working with probably in an upcoming video. I'm not going to bore you by the next couple steps that I'm going to do with these. These I'm going to take both of the handles because they haven't been used in a while. I'm going to take both the handles, give them a light sanding, give them another coat of bull linseed oil to basically seal the wood. I want to make sure the heads are tight. I'm going to take care of all that before I get ready to use them. But that's where we're at with our cutting the wood video. Or getting ready to go cut wood. This firewood is going to be donated. It's one of them things when I get given stuff like this, I'm going to do what I can to, it's going to be a little backbreaking and sweaty labor, but you know what? If I can help somebody out there that needs this type of stuff, I tend to like to do that. So this is just one more of those things and one more of these ways that we can help our community. So, like I've said before, folks, if my video encourages you to get up and go help a neighbor, check on a neighbor, go sit on the porch and talk to a neighbor, take them a bottle of water, take them a coffee in the morning. Just check on your neighbors, check on your friends, make sure everybody's doing well. You don't want to go knock on the door or get woken up by sirens next door because nobody's been able to check on this person and something happened to them. We don't want any of that to happen to everybody. So keep an eye on your friends, keep an eye on your neighbors. Again, if you get given stuff like this and you don't need it, pass it on to that next person. Just be courteous to the world out there, folks. Now remember, we love you. God loves you more. And get up and do something this week, folks. If I can do it, so can you. Hey, folks. Welcome back. Glad to see you guys come back and follow us. I like to say it, we've got something a little different for you guys today, but I think on last week's video, you saw me get my saw sharpened up to get ready to cut some firewood. So here we are at the pile. The local county, because this was blocking the river, the county came over and drug this out of the river for us. And it just needs cut up and get ready to be burnt. So that's my project for today. Get this cut up, get this loaded up in my trailer here, and take it home and split it. Not going to bore you too much with the cut and all that, but here we are, folks, and let's see what we can get cut up, and we'll go from there. Okay, there's our load. I don't want to put too much on the back of my Jeep, but if you notice, most of what's left over there is fairly big, and a little bit bigger than what I want to fool with. So we'll get a pass on that. Let's go home and get this stuff unloaded and take a break, get something to eat, and we'll work on getting it split. I'll bring you back along for that, folks.